For the first time since 2007, Alabama has lost 4 games in the regular season. And I think it's fair to say that Kalen DeBoer's first season in Tuscaloosa replacing the GOAT is a massive disappointment. Look, I expected Alabama to at least be in the college football playoffs. Even in a down season, you expect to see Alabama winning no less than at least 10 games. And I thought that was fairly reasonable with all of the hype that Jalen Milroe had coming into this season. I was a part of the hype train. I thought that he was going to be a Heisman finalist. I thought with him playing in Kalen DeBoer's system that it would be able to elevate him as a passer. But Jalen Milroe only looked good for the first month of the season. And after the first half of the Georgia game, the brother just forgot how to play quarterback. I mean, he has finished this season off with 15 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. And he has more touchdowns on the ground with 20 than he has throwing. This dude is a running back cosplaying as a quarterback, which is why I'm not really that concerned about Alabama's future under Kalen DeBoer, because I put this disappointing season all on Jalen Milroe. I'm going to give him 100% of the blame for the disaster that this season was for the Tide, because when you struggle to throw the football as much as Jalen Milroe has, like he did against Oklahoma, 11-26, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, it handicaps you as a play caller. I mean, you can say that maybe Kalen DeBoer set Jalen Milroe up to fail, but I mean, how? This is the same head coach who turned Michael Penix into a Heisman finalist and a top 10 pick in the NFL. Michael Penix was really good throwing the football with accuracy outside of the numbers in this offense. And everywhere Kalen DeBoer has been, he's produced not only really good offenses, but his quarterbacks have also been highly efficient under him, and he's won a lot of games. This is the most losses that Kalen DeBoer has ever had in a single season. And 9-10 years being a head coach, this brother has won everywhere. So I give Kalen DeBoer the benefit of a doubt that he's going to be able to turn around Alabama coming off a down season in 2025. Mainly, he was given a quarterback that, he was trying to help elevate, but he just wasn't able to, because sometimes no matter how good of a coach you are, no matter how good of an offensive mind you may be, it's just hard to develop certain quarterbacks when some guys just aren't quarterbacks. And Jalen Milroe doesn't look like a natural quarterback back there. If he can't run, he's not an effective passer throwing the ball from inside the pocket. And you've seen in this loss to Michigan today, the frustration on all of the wide receivers' faces, because Jalen Milroe, anytime they got open, he was throwing the ball in the dirt. The accuracy is just hit or miss. He can't operate the quick passing game with a high level of efficiency. And that's the number one indicator that you have a quarterback that's not good. When you can't operate the quick passing game, it just hinders everything that you can do offensively, especially when everybody knows Jalen Milroe's biggest weakness, which is his inability to throw the football with accuracy consistently. So everybody already has a great game plan of how to limit you offensively. Go all in, stacking the box to stop Jalen Milroe, force him to win from within the pocket, and boom, you got an easy recipe to beating Alabama. And Michigan, they didn't really have to do too much in this game. Jalen Milroe did most of the heavy lifting for him, because he had like 3 straight turnovers and 3 out of 4 of Alabama's first possessions in this game. So I don't really care about how this season went for Alabama when it comes to Kalen DeBoer's future, because he inherited a quarterback that just wasn't a good fit. And regardless of how good of a coach you may be, sometimes you get players that just aren't a good fit in your system and are just hard to elevate. Let's not act like Jalen Milroe was a stud when he was playing for Nick Saban. He had his fair share of struggles. They barely beat Auburn. It took them a prayer to win that game in Nick Saban's last Iron Bowl. And even against Michigan, if he was a slightly better passer, they probably end up winning that game and making it back to the national championship. And I think that was a big reason why Nick Saban wasn't that high on Alabama this year. Some people thought that he was intentionally being a little bit hard on Bama because he didn't want to give them any rat poison, but it was like he was right. This team just was not a good football team with the incompetence that they got out of Jalen Milroe this year playing the quarterback position. And if you're Kalen DeBoer, I think you're at a point where you might just tell Jalen Milroe, hey, bro, like, we appreciate everything that you've done during your time at Alabama, but it probably would do us both a lot of justice if we go our separate ways. You either declare for the draft or you come back and enter the transfer portal, and maybe you can go to a head coach that you're a better fit in their system, because Gus Malzahn, currently the OC for Florida State, he would love Jalen Milroe at quarterback. He's the perfect quarterback for a Gus Malzahn offense, because Gus Malzahn's offense is heavily predicated off having an uber athletic quarterback. You don't really have to be that good throwing the football, but Jalen Milroe is so hell-bent on playing in a pro-style system where he's just not a good fit to be in a drop-back style offense. You know, he's more of those quarterbacks that you just have to completely scheme around his running ability. And with a guy like Kalen DeBoer, that's just hard to do because you pretty much have to dumb down your scheme to an elementary level to appease a player that really isn't a high-end quarterback when it comes to NFL standards. You know, I look at this season as a wasted year of Kalen DeBoer in Alabama because he got a bad quarterback that wasn't a good fit in his scheme. You know, I thought that Kalen DeBoer would have been able to elevate Jalen Milroe this year because of how good Jalen Milroe was throwing the deep ball. He was more accurate throwing the ball outside the numbers than he was throwing anything else. And I thought he would be a perfect fit for Kalen DeBoer. But, you know, once teams found out after the second half against Georgia that if you take away the deep ball and you take away Jalen Milroe's legs, he just is an incompetent quarterback, and it's hard to win with that. So, to me, Jalen Milroe completely ruined Kalen DeBoer's first season at Alabama. I still believe in Coach DeBoer, and I believe that if he gets a better quarterback that actually is a better fit in his system that can more efficiently throw the football, I think that he's going to be able to get the Alabama dynasty back in humming. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Alabama right back in the playoffs, because with this thing being 12 teams, it's hard to say that Alabama is not going to be in the conversation. They still have one of the top recruiting classes in America. They still have one of the best rosters in college football. You know, I'm not too worried about Kalen DeBoer. I'm giving him the benefit of a doubt because remember this. If you zoom out and look at Kalen DeBoer and what he has done over the last year, this dude has beaten 3 of the 5 best coaches in college football at the moment. He beat Dan Lanning twice. He beat Steve Sarkisian in the semifinals at Washington, and he beat Kirby Smart. So let's not act like Kalen DeBoer is some kind of jabroni as a head coach. This guy is a winner. And this is the most losses that he has ever had in the regular season as a head coach for any program. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt. I put this season and why it was a disappointment solely on the shoulder of Jalen Milroe. Because when you're this bad throwing the football, there's not too much you can do no matter who's calling the plays.